And welcome to Sports on Tap. I'm your host, Rob Troutman, and we have a big show for you here today as we have two guests and both head coaches from the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League. We have head coach of the Rocky River Pirates, Chris Cogan, going to join us here in a few minutes. We also have Paul Makito. He's the head coach of the Menor Cardinals. Both teams advanced to the district finals, and what games they were this last weekend. Upsets as the top. I think the teams were in the top six. I think 3 or 4 of them fell. So big wins for Menor and Rocky River as we just covered the Barron Cup, and we had a blast doing it. Guys, welcome to the show. We have Ed, Josh, Sean, and guys, welcome to Sports on Tap here tonight.
Thanks for having us.
I'm glad as co-host we were thanked for being on the show.
Well, we all can't make it all the time, so sometimes we do have assignments that enable us to go out on assignment every once in a while. But
I'm glad that we were able to talk about some hockey from teams that we certainly have a vested interest in, given the league that we cover. So it's certainly great for us, but more importantly, it's great for the league and the two teams that we're going to be talking to today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and these two games, we talked about the district semifinals. These two games were like a tale of two different games. You look at Rocky River; they were able to come out and score. They had 2 players score 2 goals apiece. And then in the other game, Menor against Gilmore, that was a defensive battle, a great goaltending, and it went into overtime. Menor's goalie stops 45 of 46 shots during the game, and they come away with a victory to move on to the district championship game. So both these games were well fought, played very hard, two different games for sure, and I'm interested to see what the coaches say about these games when we have them on. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we talked with Garrett Davis, and Garrett Davis, or actually we didn't talk to Garrett Davis, but we saw him in action at the Barron Cup, and I mean, the guy was sensational. I mean, he had a great game against Rocky River, but you saw the determination from the Pirates. I mean, Coach Cogan and, his son, the goaltender, did a great job, and the Cogans just having a great year so far this year. I think we've seen it from them, and I don't know if we've seen this in a while. They have a chance to be in the Final Four, in the state tournament. I think it's something special, and hopefully, it can continue. But, we have Coach Cogan waiting. Let's bring him in as, he waits here and getting ready to talk to us.
He's a busy guy. He's got preparations to make.
I know. That's why we got to be quick with him. Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us, Coach. I think he's muted right now. Yes, there you go.
There we go.
Coach, how are you tonight?
Uh-oh. There we go. Hey.
Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time. We know it's probably pretty busy for you right about now, huh?
Yeah, it's busy. It's good to be busy right now, though.
Well, congratulations. What a big win for you guys, beating St. Ignatius this last week, and now you're headed to the district finals, taking on St. Edward, and what a game it was for you. You won the Barron Cup. First, talk a little bit about that and how special that was for your team.
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, we've been battling Menor the last couple of years and haven't had very much success. So it was good to get back to to the finals and play against them again. And like you guys said, it's exciting to get back there, obviously. And then I think more importantly, this year, with as crazy as it's been, we talked many times about were we ever going to get to this point. So to be able to get to the point, and Ryan and he did a great job in promoting the 50 years of the Barron Cup, and it was just great to play. But more importantly too, I think for the seniors, some of them they got to raise the cup as freshmen, playing real minutes as freshmen. So like I said, in this crazy year, to get back there and then have those kids be able to raise it and go out, as Barron Cup champions as seniors was very special.
Coach, was there that when you're in a championship game, you're going to be excited, you're going to be ready to roll. Was there a little extra juice knowing that you were going up against Menor?
Yeah, for sure. And we hadn't seen them. We didn't play them this year. Our games got canceled due to COVID. They got a late start in their season, so there was a couple of teams that we didn't, get a chance to see in our division. But yeah, coming up against Menor, it's always fun to play them. We're always excited to play them. But yeah, losing the last two and getting another crack at it was, I think the guys were ready to go.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, after the first goal scored by Menor, which in years past that's been, they've been able to jump up a little bit early. Your team showed tremendous resolve throughout the first period, and I think on either the broadcast and also when we last talked about this game with the guys from Ohio Hockey Digest, you guys had almost like a miracle moment at the end of the first period, scoring the goal as time expired. How much did that further invigorate the team going into the second period?
I mean, that was absolutely huge, and yeah, they've jumped on us the last 2 years and got leads on us, and this year, obviously they did it again, and our guys right out of the gate said, it's okay, we'll come back, we got this, and then those last couple seconds, I think that was a total momentum swing. I mean, going into the locker room tied instead of being down 1-0 after one, and just how the play happened. I think a couple of guys had kind of given up because they saw that the clock was expiring, and my defenseman there, he said, "There's no way anybody's gonna get behind me, and they can't score, so I'm just gonna creep in here and get a little closer to the net." And the puck ended up on his stick and made it in the back of the net. So it was huge. I mean, like I said, going in 1-1 with no time left on the clock, basically it was, I think, a total momentum swing, and I had to kind of take the wind out of their sails, and they had to go in there and sit and think about that for 12 minutes, and I'm sure that wasn't fun, but then we had to come out and continue to work hard.
Coach, one of the things that we talked about in that final game was the spectacular play on both sides from the goaltenders. Obviously, your son Christopher and the Menor goaltender Russell. I mean, can you talk a little bit about some of the things that specifically your son has been working on, and to really just be, ever present in the goal there that we saw? I mean, he didn't face quite as much pressure as your team put on Menor's goalie,
right.
But anytime the puck was in that zone, it was a very, very, very impressive effort by him, and you could really tell that he was motivating the defense and the rest of the team by the way he was kind of selling out for every puck that was even coming close to the goal.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher's done a great job for us, and the work that he's put in, and it's all on him, to be honest with you. And I try and say as little as possible. Obviously I play the position. It's totally different from when I played it. The terminology is the same. The movement's completely different. But yeah, he's made some big saves, and the guys get fired up on that. Like, he'll make one, and it'll get the bench going, and then it transitions down the ice the other way, and hopefully we can feed off that kind of stuff. And they do an excellent job. They've done an excellent job on helping him grow in his game. Obviously, he hasn't been in the net that long, only 3 years. So I give the guys a lot of credit, too, for helping him come as far as he has, and keeping him positive. But, yeah, those little saves or even the big ones, it doesn't matter. They're huge. And yes, the other guys do feed off of that kind of stuff. And for Garrett Davis, I mean, yeah, I think we put like 40 some shots on goal. He had an outstanding game. Can't take anything away from his game, unfortunately. We just got a couple more past him than they got past us. But it was awesome. And we hadn't seen him all year, so we didn't know really what to expect.
So, Coach, talk about, coming off a Barron Cup championship and then having to kind of refocus your team onto making a playoff run. That's playoff start and for a program like yours, making a longer playoff run. Talk about, if there is a difference, maybe even this year because of all the things we've been through with COVID, how difficult or not difficult was it to focus your guys in on, making compartmentalize into almost a new season?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said earlier to you guys, and we were shut down a couple of times, and we basically knew that we weren't going to get shut down again because we've had so many cases and positive cases. So we kind of felt like we were done with that. So we just needed to find teams to play. But coming out of the Barron Cup, like, I think number one, that was big to get there. Number two, to win it. So that just gave us more momentum heading into the state. Like, we say there's 3 stages in the season: regular season, Barron Cup, and state. So on to 2, on to 3 now, and just having that momentum coming out of the win for Barron Cup leading into states was huge right out of the gate. And then, we didn't have a big time off. There wasn't a week and a half, or, we kind of almost jumped right into our games. So we didn't really have time to sit and think about it. We just had time to get back to work, prepare for our next game, and take it one game at a time. And, just kind of battle our way through it. And the guys, like I said, their mindset's different, obviously, than when we started. And it's awesome. I mean, it's just the energy that's out on the ice every day at practice. If I say we're not skating for the full practice, they get upset. And it's, there's a reason behind all that stuff. But the fact that they want to be on the ice and they want to put the work in has gotten us to this point right now.
With Rocky River head ice hockey coach Chris Cogan, so far, as the number 3 seed in the Brooklyn West District, you've defeated the number 13 seed Normandy by a count of 8-1, and then you guys took it to Padua, a very established program in the area, a 6-3 count, and then it was the third time seemed to be the charm this year against St. Ignatius. You'd played them tough earlier in the regular season twice. So what in your opinion, what was it that helped your team go over the top the third time around?
Well, like you said, we played them 2 times earlier. The first time was our second game of the season, and we hadn't.
It sounds like we had a little bit of a...
Whoever you can. And I told our guys, I said, listen, it's going to be a year like this where we could be playing, St. Ignatius and St. Charles and St. Francis and schools, that are typically at the top, in the top 10 all year. I said, that's just the way it is. And the only thing that's going to do is prepare us for later on down the road, in the playoffs. So it is what it is. And they bought into it. And, yeah, the first time we lost 4-2, I think it was a good game.
I think he froze up a little bit there. He'll come back here shortly and talk about his team. Great question. Oh, there he is. Yeah, it was a great. You've had a great run so far, and you cut out a little bit there, so we didn't hear your final at the end of what you were saying there.
I don't even know where I was at.
That's okay. Well,
Coach, you were kind of talking about how you had to play some of tougher teams than you probably normally would during the regular season.
Okay.
Just due to COVID and the scheduling and all that, kind of adding on to that. Do you feel maybe in the future you might schedule some more of those teams like that? Maybe a little more during the regular season, maybe before league play starts, just to maybe get your team in the right frame of mind and maybe better the competition a little bit to get them used to playing like that.
Yeah, and I mean I typically try and schedule, in the Walsh tournaments and other tournaments like that to try and see other teams and, and play at a different level, not a higher level, but a different level, and just teams that we're not used to seeing. So that's part of our, it's part of our yearly schedule. It's not something that, this year was just crazy because we're just trying to find teams. But I try and, mix the schedule up a lot every year. So it does help us.
Yeah, and talk about some of the players that you've had. Danny Asmar's had a great year. Reese Rochester, are just a few. But talk about your team and how they've overcome a lot this year. In the beginning of the season, we talked, and like you said, you were battling just trying to get teams to play like you just talked about. But the players, to keep them focused throughout the season, and especially in the tournament. They win Barron Cup. Obviously, it's an exciting time for them. But talk a little bit about now in the state tournament and how has their confidence continue to rise here?
Yeah, no, I mean, those guys like Danny and Hayden, Reese, they've done a lot for us this year and in years past, and we've had a lot of guys that haven't had a lot of varsity experience that have stepped up and filled huge roles this year. So I can't take away from anybody that that's on our 20-man roster, and it's pretty much been the same for the last 15, 16 games. Very little change. Had to move some guys from forward to defense due to some injuries, but the guys have been awesome. And like you said, coming out of Barron Cup, going into states, winning that Barron Cup is huge, and it gives us more momentum heading into the state playoff. And Paddle, that wasn't an easy game. 3-3 after 2, and then facing Ignatius. I mean, we knew. Obviously, we played them twice. We knew what we were, going to be up against. It's a different round, though. It's a different season of hockey. So we knew it was going to be, a tough match and a good game. But, we had a plan, and the guys stuck to it. And, the confidence coming out of Barron Cup was huge.
This is Rocky River head ice hockey coach Christopher Cogan on with us. So you're taking on St. Ed's in the district finals, a team that you haven't seen yet this year. So talk a little bit about what you see out of St. Ed's, and maybe give us a little bit of a scouting report without giving too much away.
Oh yeah, I know there's guys listening out there. No, I mean St. Ed's, they're a great team. I know they're loaded. They're top to bottom. They got solid forward lines and a good solid defensive core. And they're coached by great guys and guys that know how to get the job done. So with that being said, we've got some things that we need to work on this week. They're a great team. I mean, no doubt about it. I haven't actually seen them play live, obviously, but watched a lot of highlights and seen a lot of clips. But we've got our work cut out for us. They're a good team, and we just got to be ready to go. We got to be 2-3 steps better than we were on Saturday.
And I'm sure your team probably doesn't need a pep talk for this one. I'm sure they're gearing up and ready to go. Do you have to talk to your team to get them excited for this one, or have you kept them focused this week on the details that go into getting ready for St. Edward?
Yeah, we do talk to them. We have, but not like we're not getting too deep into it because we know who we are at this point. We're 2.5 months into the season. We're not going to change our game drastically from last Saturday to this Saturday. So we don't want to overthink things, but there are some minor tweaks and adjustments that we're going to make, and hopefully it'll benefit us.
Yeah, I think at this point, you're ready. You have your plan in order, and I mean, what a season it's been for the Pirates. And has this, out of all seasons, has this been the most challenging coaching season for you, or have you had others where maybe you had younger players that you try to teach them and they weren't quite getting as quickly as you'd like? Because it seems like the past years, you've had a lot of success. You've been in the Barron Cup championship time in and time again. You faced Menor, I think, 3 years in a row now. You've had the success, but I'm sure at some point, these kids were young too, and you were trying to get up to that level. Is this the most challenging season, or have you had others that, brought some difficult times or challenging times rather?
No, I would say by far, I would say that this is the most challenging season for sure. And luckily, we're senior heavy. Not luckily, but the guys are good. They know what.
I think his mic went out.
Going on, and they knew that once we found a game, it might be 2 hours earlier than what I say, and just be ready to go. But by far, this has been the most challenging year as a coach, and not because of the players.
Of course,
they're awesome. My guys have been awesome.
There's you mentioned that earlier that in comparison that you said you were a goalie and with coaching your son, that there's a big difference, not so much in terminology but just style of play. For those of us and those of folks who are maybe listening, what exactly do you mean by that? And maybe help us out a little bit there.
I mean, just the way that they, you lateral down in your position now, and just the overall basic movement. I mean, I would think that I was more of a stand-up goalie than a butterfly goalie. I think it was kind of just coming around. I don't remember too many guys that were always down in their butterfly when I was playing, but and then just the way that they're taught now to be on their post from the corner and just using their toes and whip across from down in position. I never did that. I mean, I picked up my son's pad a couple weeks ago, and it was like feather light, and I went out into the garage and I grabbed mine, and I was like, you couldn't even stand in this thing. Old leather, stuff with whatever was in there. Feels like concrete right now, but technology's changed and the game's changed for them, and it's completely different. So like I said, the terminology, shuffle and T-push, that kind of stuff's still there, but you don't really use that. So yeah, when I was first taking him out there to show him, kind of what was going on, and then he started going to his goalie coaches and stuff, and I said, well, see, I still know some of this stuff. Like, some of the terminology is still the same, but I can't tell you how to lateral from that post to the next one like that. So
yeah.
I mean, it's come a long way.
Yeah. And I'm sure, going to the camps and the tournaments you guys go to, I mean, there's still a lot of games that were played still, I thought, this year for some of the teams. Not all the teams, but a lot of them. I thought it was a pretty successful season in playing a decent amount of games. But like you said, I think it's interesting talking to a lot of the coaches that have been in the game a long time and hearing how the game has changed. Talking to Coach Ferfolia, who has stories for years and years. You could sit to him and talk all the time, and he tells you some of the great stories that he's gone through and the changes in the game of hockey. I think it's interesting really to hear the perspective.
Yeah, no, it's great to, sit down and talk to those guys and just, catch 5-10 minutes of a conversation with them, because, yeah, I mean, even now, like, you learn a lot from, just a small conversation like that, and kind of what's going on now compared to what happened then. So great guys to sit down and listen to, Coach Ferfolia and Coach Malloy, guys that, like you said, that have been around for a long time.
Absolutely. Well, guys, any last thoughts or questions for Coach Cogan before we let him go and get ready for the district final game against St. Edward coming up? That's on Saturday at 1 o'clock. So congratulations on an absolute great season, winning the Barron Cup, one championship here in 2021, and now a district final going up against St. Edward. Good luck. We'll be watching, and can't thank you enough for again coming on our show here tonight.
Absolutely, guys. I always appreciate when you have me on here.
No problem.
Good luck, Coach.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too. All right, that's Coach Chris Cogan of the Rocky River Pirates. I want to thank him for joining us here on Sports on Tap. And